Have you ever heard the saying that it takes a village? Usually that's about raising kids, but it applies to buying businesses as well. Very few people do the due diligence to buy a business alone. And here are four professionals who get paid to help you buy a business. And of course, they can get paid post closing if you negotiate correctly. So, first, we have accountants, and they help you understand the business's financial health. Next, we have lawyers for all the legal documents and compliance. Third, we have lenders who will help you secure financing. And finally, we have due diligence companies to provide all three. So maybe pick a smaller one, not one of those big four consultants. These professionals make up the village that will take you to financial freedom. So when you're thinking about these four professionals, you have the lender, you have the lawyer, you have the accountant, and you have the due diligence company. How do you go about building that relationship with them, and how do you go about making sure that they can get paid post-closing? Well, some of them might just have it in their fee structure, and obviously, guys, I haven't bought a business yet at this point in my career. I definitely will tell you and update you as I'm in the process of buying my own business. When the information is available, I will let you know how it went down for me. But we can look at Charlie Munger. He was a lawyer, and I'm pretty sure for his services when he was when he was building his career, Charlie Munger exchanged his services for equity. So he would do the kind of mergers and acquisitions work, or help the people buy a business, or do some legal work for them that's not related to mergers and acquisitions activity, and then he would get equity in the business for doing that work. So instead of cash flow, he would get equity in the business. He'd get 1% equity in this business, 2% equity in this business, 1% equity here, 1% equity there, 1% equity there. And eventually when you have 1% equity in 75 businesses, you have a lot of cash flow coming in. And then as you take that cash flow, you invest into other businesses. Maybe you buy a bigger share in the current businesses that you are operating. And that is kind of how Charlie Munger got his start. And so similarly, you can find somebody who's like-minded to Charlie Munger early in their career. They want equity in businesses, and you could go to an accountant. You can go to a lawyer. You can go to somebody who owns a due diligence company that is a smaller company, a consulting company, and you can go to a lender. Honestly, lenders are incentivized by the loans that they close, so they get paid post-closing anyway. You don't really need to incentivize them with equity, but you go to them and you're like, hey, I'm trying to build this empire. This is the purpose of this empire. And to do that, I need people who can consistently help me close deals well. And you can do that. Would you like a slice of equity in this empire as I build it? For each deal we close, you'll get 1% equity in that deal, and we'll share in the cash flow. And then your fees will be paid post-closing from the cash flow of the deal in addition to that equity, right? That's a generous offer. I'm sure you could just get away with the equity, but the better you make the offer, the more silly that they feel saying no. Shout out Alex Hormozy. So when you incentivize them with equity and fees, you can negotiate to have them be paid post-closing so they can help you all throughout the due diligence process, and they're in it for the long haul. So if you have one business and the due diligence fails and they spent 3 months of their time, maybe they're willing to stay on because they realize they're going to get more equity in your next business, and they're going to get more fees in your next business. And it's just delayed payment. As long as they aren't living paycheck to paycheck, that's something that a lot of people would like to do. So after you incentivize them with equity, you have to make sure to cast the vision. Where are you going? For me, I'm obviously trying to build this mergers and acquisitions empire. I want a community of 800,000 entrepreneurs, each netting 1 million per year, or 2 million per year, and then I want them to give away 1 million per year to the endowment, right? That's a big vision. I think a lot of people would like to be a part of that vision, and honestly, just to see if I can do it or how committed I am to it. But when you cast your personal vision, it's like, hey, I'm going to roll up 10 landscaping businesses to become the largest landscaper in the Austin metro. And when we do that, we're going to sell to a private equity firm. We're going to try to sell for $30 million, and then you'll get 1% of that, which will be $300,000 just for doing the paperwork right now. That's a pretty cool thing. If they get 1% of $30 million. It'd be even cooler if they got 2%, 3%, 4%. But of course, they start small. They get that 1% in 75 businesses. Now they're getting a $300,000 exit for 75 businesses. I'm not saying each exit is going to be $30,000, but even a $20,000, $30,000 1%. So you have a $3 million exit, $2 million exit. That's a substantial sum of money for you to start building your wealth, right? So after you incentivize them with equity, cast the vision for them. And really this happens during the process while you're incentivizing them. It's like, hey, I'm giving you this equity because I want to build a team to go here. And that team to go here will get this when we get there. That can be money, that can be status, that can be both. Or it could be passive income for the rest of their life. Like, it can be whatever you want it to be. Just cast a vision and align it with what they want for their life. So before you incentivize with equity and before you cast the vision, it's probably good to get to know what they want so that you can cast the vision and align it with what they want. You got to know what they want to align it with what they want. So ask questions in the beginning of each of this process. Be like, maybe you start with I want to incentivize you with equity. But what does that look like for you? Like, what do you want from your equity? And it's like, oh, that exactly aligns with my vision. So you'd be perfect, right? Just some sales, I guess, in this process, which is really just asking questions and caring about people. After you've incentivized them with equity, after you've cast the vision, you got to build trust with them. And really, I think this is going to look different for every relationship. For me, it's going to look like, obviously, doing business together, like doing business transactions together at a lower level, maybe doing one transaction before you guys incorporate a whole holding company and business structure that will help you do this for the long haul. So you build trust with them transaction by transaction. Maybe you have the accountant do your taxes one year and you have the lawyer, I don't know, represent a friend in claims court, or getting referrals, getting good word of mouth. That's a good way to start with a foundation of trust, because somebody you trusted recommended them, so they have a certain layer of trust. But then spending quality time with them, experiencing hard things together, I think is the best way to build trust. So if you guys are working out together or you have a shared belief system and you think critically about that belief system together, these are some ways that you can make sure you're building trust with people. But for me, it's like bearing burdens together, sharing belief systems or hobbies or anything, and then spending a lot of time bearing those burdens and sharing those experiences. That's what we got for you guys today on the show. Make sure that if you want to get some people to be on your team, your village, if you will, you got to incentivize them with equity, because that means they're aligned for the long haul. You got to cast the vision. You got to build trust with them by spending a lot of time, and spend that time specifically with bearing burdens together, experiencing adversity and coming through, or sharing experiences that both of you enjoy. That's what we got for you guys today on the show. Thank you so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. And remember, we are a community of people judged not by our wealth, but by our impact.